So the fighting around the world and in the United States is about to intensify. This is what experts are telling us. I want to break down what is happening, why it's happening right now, and what you can expect in the near future. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So of course, we turn on the news, you turn on social media, and you see all the different reports of the fighting happening between Russia and Ukraine. You see the fighting happening between Israel and Hamas. You see all this stuff, all these tensions are rising, but the fighting around the world and here in the United States is about to intensify. It's going to happen more frequently and it's going to be more fierce. That's what we're getting from experts. Now, why is all this happening at this time? Well, the big reason is because we are less than 1 year away from a presidential election. That's where the fighting is really coming down. Okay, I want to break this down because I know a lot of people are saying that, the presidential election, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal around the world. It's just a big deal here in the United States. And that's not true. According to multiple reports, just over the past couple of days, they are now saying that Russia is supportive of the fact that they want former President Donald Trump in office. They're tired of President Biden. He's done nothing, not just for Russia, but for the world. They want former President Donald Trump back in office. I will address more on that in just a moment, but look at this. It says Trump takes significant polling lead over Biden in presidential race. This is something that we've seen over the past month, actually over the past 2 months. Ever since this war between Israel and Hamas started, this has turned into a massive issue because President Biden has always been 1, 2, maybe 3 steps behind. Even when we were seeing troops getting attacked by drones, President Biden didn't get on the offensive. He didn't do that. No, he wasn't really defending the troops or the bases. All he was doing was trying to make a subtle stand. He didn't want to cause a wider war. But at the same time, when our troops were hit over 60 times in less than 2 months, that's a problem. It's a major problem. And this is why some are saying that we need new leadership. Maybe not just in the White House, maybe in Congress, but also in the Pentagon. So we'll see what happens there. One thing I do want to just explain though, when it comes to these polling numbers, these are in swing states. Okay? These are in swing states that are likely going to decide who wins the presidential election. Right now, it is former President Donald Trump if he is running up against President Biden. Now, let's talk about Russia for a second. Because Russia, and this is something that we are now seeing here in the United States as well, many lawmakers are bringing this up, that over the past year or two, we've seen the United States get weaker, we've seen Russia become weaker, and we've seen China actually get more powerful. Here's what they're saying. They say the Russian military is not as powerful as it once was. That they have lost too many people and they have lost too much of their equipment and it's been destroyed beyond repair. When it comes to the United States, our military has also taken a hit due to providing Ukraine with the military equipment and munitions without actually putting back and adding to our stockpile at a ratio of 1 to 1. We've lost more ammo, more equipment than we've been able to replace. So just right there, they say we've gotten weaker. As far as our troops, we've gotten stronger. When it comes to China, China hasn't committed much to anybody. So China, in a time when Russia and the United States has gotten weaker, China has gotten stronger. And so experts are now worried that China could have been planning this all along. But let's listen to let's read what Vladimir Putin had to say as well. Because he wants a U.S. president that is more constructive, according to the Kremlin. Now I want to read you this, okay? Let's go ahead and read this. It says Russian President Vladimir Putin would prefer an American president who is more constructive towards Russia and understands the importance of the dialogue. Also goes on to say the Russian leader would be ready to work with anybody or anyone who will understand that from now on you have to be more careful with Russia and you have to take into account its concerns. President Biden never did that. Some were saying that former President Donald Trump did that a little too much, but at this time we have to work together or else we will see a world war. There were multiple instances over the past 2 years where we were on the brink of a world war. It was almost World War III. Some were calling it World War II.5 because we were that close. Because the United States and Russia were very close. Right now, the United States and Iran are very close because of all these attacks that are happening. For one, just to give you an idea, Joe Biden, he's being urged to strike the Houthis that are in the Red Sea to stop these shipping attacks. Just in the past week, just in 1 week, there have been 3 attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea, all done by the Houthis. The United States has vowed to send a U.S. Navy destroyer into the Red Sea. We already had one, but they are going to make sure that we are staying there. Iran has said that they do not agree with this, that the United States has no business being in the Red Sea, but the United States is going to keep a Navy destroyer there just to protect the commercial ships going through. That is something that we've seen has been asked by the United States, and so we are going to do it. Now, here's where everything really gets thrown for a loop. As of right now, there's a lot of discussions, a lot of talks of how can we do more here in the United States. One of the big questions right now is on the United States southern border. That's the big question. And according to multiple reports out this morning and yesterday, they're saying tensions are rising amongst Democrats over a looming border deal. But why? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Right now, many Democrats are concerned that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and President Biden are going to attempt to pass a bill for additional border security in order to get that additional $60 billion to go to Ukraine in order to stop President Putin from taking over Ukraine. Vladimir Zelensky, he is one that is a little concerned because the United States is very slow to roll out this additional funding. So here's where we're at. Right now, President Biden, according to experts, President Biden needs to pass additional funding for Ukraine to prevent Russia from taking over. That is a big deal. If Russia can take over Ukraine within the next year, according to reports, many Democrats would not vote for any Democrat in the upcoming election. Why? Because they let Russia take over Ukraine. Do they vote for a Republican president or do they vote for nobody? We don't know that. But they have stated that they will not vote for Democrats if Democrats allow Russia to take over Ukraine. So, this is where the fighting really intensifies. Because now we're going to see President Biden fight tooth and nail to ensure that Ukraine gets this funding, that Israel also gets another $14 billion from the United States. Currently, we send about $3.8 billion every single year. Now we're going to really ramp that up to $14.3 billion this year alone. This is going to be massive. But here's what I can tell you. Right now, Democrats are concerned that President Biden and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer are going to give away everything. Give away all the leverage to Republicans in order to secure this $60 billion for Ukraine and the $14.3 billion for Israel. Again, it will come with some funding for Gaza. But if Democrats give away the kitchen sink so that they can go and get this, this is likely going to include some other priorities for Republicans that Democrats say they would never go for in any other instance. Let me read this to you. It says Senate Democrats are deeply divided over an emerging border deal that some Democratic lawmakers fear will include harsh asylum policy reforms plucked from the House-passed Secure the Border Act in order to win GOP backing of long-delayed funding for Ukraine. A growing number of Senate Democrats, including Latino caucus members, are sounding the alarm over leaks that say the administration is prepared to support new authority to expel migrants without asylum screenings and expand their detention and deportation. They worry they'll get blindsided next week if Senate negotiators reach a deal on border security and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer rushes it to the floor. Here's something that I'm going to read you a quote in just a moment, but something that we're hearing, according to some leaders, according to some analysts, they're saying that if we do expel migrants, this could backfire. This could backfire not just for Democrats, but for Republicans as well. Democrats is going to backfire because that's not something Democrats are supporting, but they might have to in order to get funding for Ukraine. But this could backfire for Republicans. Here's why. They say that we could see expelled people from the United States come back and return later on to overwhelm Border Patrol agents even more. So here's the big deal. If we change the border policies, that's one thing. But we have to add additional border security, add additional funding, more agents, okay? Because if we don't, those agents that are currently at the border could be easily overwhelmed once all these people that get expelled from the United States try to come back to the United States again. Because they will, according to reports. So, it's not something we can see. Right here, this is from Senator Bob Menendez. He says, if Senator Schumer thinks he can send us home for the weekend, quietly cave to Republicans' anti-immigrant demands while nobody is watching, and then ambush Democrats expecting us to vote yes with a smile, he is terribly mistaken. So what he's referring to is the Senate actually left. They aren't in session right now. They left Washington. They're allowed to go back home or their districts or whatever. So that was Thursday night. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, those 3 days, they can go do whatever. They're expected to be back in Washington on Monday for the next week. Okay? That is when Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says they will vote on this supplemental and they will vote to ensure that funding can go to Ukraine. But the possibility is that funding to Ukraine may hinge on what is in this bill for border security. So, that's where things are at right now. Again, the fighting is going to escalate. We know that, but what is in it for the American people and what is in it for other countries? That is something we don't know, but we're going to find out very soon. So, if you guys have any questions, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.